September the 18th and I'm back up at the new plot in the shed, and I've come today to do exactly what I wanted to do yesterday. So it's like in my head I'm having to go back in time, because I came up yesterday. We've had a really busy couple of weeks and a very busy weekend, but I had a 2-hour window, 2 hours of time where I knew I was going to be able to get up to the plot, plant my elephant garlic, have a little look around, do some filming, and you know, and just get stuff done. And then this happened. So, as you can imagine, even the hardiest of souls would have been very hard pushed to have got out there and got much gardening done yesterday. Things just getting washed away. Mike spent a bit of time playing in the greenhouse, but I don't know what he was doing. But yeah, so basically just sat in the shed and sorted things out, which I'll show you later on. But it means that today I'm going back to what I was going to do yesterday, which is put the elephant garlic in, show you what we've done to the greenhouse. I keep looking over there as if you can see it. Show you the little new flower bit that I'm in the middle of organising, and just have a bit of a catch up and show you what we've been doing. Okay, so let's go and put that garlic in. Okay, here I am with my garlic patch, and this is the elephant garlic that I came up to plant yesterday, but the weather wouldn't allow it. What the weather has done is it's really wet the soil, which, as you know, after the summer that we've had, is something that we're really grateful for. Only for so long though, and then we'll start moaning about it being too wet. But it's meant that the soil is in a really good condition to plant. This is basically, it's not exactly a raised bed. We've got these retainers in, which are about 6 inches high, but we gave the land that was underneath a bit of a tickle. Then we've just added some really well rotted manure and leaves, and that's it really. It's been dug in. You will notice the odd carrot, which I'm going to show you there, and then I'm going to say no more about the carrots, because these carrots nearly caused, I won't say a divorce, but certainly a debate. So we're going to get rid of them. And because on Friday in the UK we've got a programme called Gardener's World, with someone called Monty Dunn, who's a very learned gardening man, and on Friday he put it in his elephant garlic. Now, if Monty Dunn does it, we all know that it's okay for us to do it. I'm not saying it's the only programme to watch. Beech Grove Garden is also available, and I'm not going into that debate here and now, but basically he's put his garlic in, so I'm putting mine in, and I was going to anyway, because those of you who watched what happened to my elephant garlic last year, basically I stored it in the shed in a cardboard box, silly me, and a nice little mouse got in and ate it all. So this year I've taken absolutely no risks at all. It's been in a metal tin, and have a look at it. It's gorgeous. It's these huge cloves that are going to go in. Now, those of you who know about elephant garlic, I know I'm preaching to the converted in a way. It's not actually garlic. It's a member of the leek family, but it's got that lovely garlicky taste, very mild. And you can roast a whole clove and just squeeze out the puree. It's absolutely delicious, and a bit of a rarity. It's the sort of thing you can't really buy in your local supermarket, so for that reason alone it's a really good idea to grow it. If I put this in and we have a if I put this in, it wants to be planted. If you put this in at too late, or we have a very mild spell, it might not split. It needs a really cold spell, which is why it needs to be in over the winter, in order to split and create its own cloves. So you can end up with a whopping bulb of garlic with several cloves. If it doesn't get cold enough, or I don't know, are there any other reasons? It'll just get bigger in itself. It'll become a bigger clove and will become something called a monobulb. Now, there's nothing wrong with monobulbs. There's nothing wrong with them. You can eat them just the same as just the same as you would with one of those, but it's just a big one, so you can use it as you would do one of these anyway. But you can then keep that in if you like and leave it to the following year, and that will give it a chance to develop more and split. Does that make sense? Makes sense in my head. Anyway, I know you know all this anyway. So, Montidon put his in, his lovely soil that is just like, he does that and it just parts. It's like parting the Red Sea. Because this soil has got, and although it's well rotted manure, it's still manure, so I've got my gloves on, which, as you know, I don't usually wear, so I feel a bit odd wearing my gloves. But he put his in with about 1 inch of soil on top. Now, whenever I've read up on planting garlic, it usually says about 4 or 5 inches deep. I'm just going to, I don't know, I feel like as far as if you're planting a bulb, you would try and plant the same amount on top. So if you put a bulb in the soil, you'll try and cover it with the same amount of soil as it takes up. Sorry, I'm going to be bothered now. I know. You come to see me plant some garlic. I know. It's completely put me off. I'm going to put it in about, what did I say? About that deep then? What's that? 3 inches, and cover it with the same amount of soil. So I've got my dibber. Although I have also got my trowel because it's much easier to do that. And I'm going to do it about however big that is apart. That's probably about 9 inches. So just get started. I've got 15, so I reckon if I do 3 that way and 5, so 3 rows of 5 bulbs or 5 rows of 3 bulbs, depending which way you look at it. So where are you? Sorry, Tiddles. So basically I've got that to, oh look, that's way deeper than I said. Put that into about there, pop it in. You know which way to do it. It's actually raining on me again now. It seems to come in rains now. Pointy bit at the top, the root plate, the very precious plate that's at the bottom. In it goes. Remove the carrot that we're not talking about. And I'm actually not going to cover it until I've done all 15, and then I'll be able to see where they are. So I'm going to get on with that and hopefully not get too wet. It's raining, but here we have 3 rows of, have we got 3 rows of 5 or 5 rows of 3, whichever. We've got 15 elephant garlic cloves in. They are, once they're covered up, they'll be a couple of inches deep, so I'm just going to rake the soil over the top of those now and leave them to it. And then, how exciting, we've actually got something that's going to be growing over the winter in our brand new plot. Can't wait. I don't know if you can remember what the greenhouse looked like when we took it on, but it was basically like the shed. It was one big spider's web tangled in with some weeds. So this has had a really good clean now, and in fact I'm going to step inside to save my mic. You can see that we've actually managed to get rid of, there was the very old rusty wonky staging on this side. That is, we've managed to get it out of the greenhouse, but we can't actually dismantle it. So currently it's standing on that side of the greenhouse, and actually it's a really handy, sorry I'm just stepping in, a really handy little
well, it would be a handy potting area, but that's one of those things that we can forget about now, but it will eventually go, and maybe we'll have another potting area here, because actually we've got, where have we got it? We have got a door at both ends, so you know, in the summer we can have a through breeze, but also you can stand there and do your potting, or it gives you extra potting space. But we've managed to get hold of some slabs and slab down the middle, so you won't remember, but this was just bare earth, but it was so dry I thought it was concrete, and I kept sweeping it and wondering why it was so dusty, but it's because I was just sweeping the soil. So anyway, we've got a nice level path now going from one end to the other. We've got our staging on this side with pots etc started to get piled up underneath, and we will have, I'm going to swing you around, are you ready? Woo! See all the detritus in the middle. On this side we will have the staging from the old greenhouse is going to come up and go along there. So yeah, really pleased with that actually. It feels like a proper working area, or it's starting to feel like a working area now. And of course in the jungle on the other side, our grapes are doing so ridiculously well. They're still going, and I know I've got to cut this back. I've got a lot to learn, but really this is on the back burner at the moment because it's doing quite well on its own, thank you. Yes, we'll get more productivity next year, but just look at it. These grapes, they are just beautiful. I mean, the thing is though, we need, I've looked it up, to make a demijohn of grape wine, we need about £12 of grapes. Now, we've no way got £12. I've already snaffled some, I'm walking through, oh, try not to trip over things. I've already snaffled some and made some lovely grape jelly, that's very nice. But I don't think we're going to have £12 to make grape wine. Look though, they're everywhere. Yeah, I know they're small and they've got big pips, but they've grown. So before I go today, I am actually going to harvest these. I'll leave ones on like this one, but yeah, I'll show you once I've harvested them, and we'll see just how many grapes we've got, because however many we've got is more than we would have expected. Another unexpected area under construction here. I'm just walking, oh, there's a step. Walking out the shed here. This, I'll show you. There's the gate, okay? And basically this area between this bit of hedge there and that hedge over there was used to store things like this. Which makes it actually, you know, we've cleared the majority of stuff to the tip, but yeah, where people brought things in and just dumped them, or we were moving stuff out and needed to dump them somewhere, this was pretty much the dumping ground. So we've moved that over there. Obviously this is going to get put in its proper place at some point, but I just reckon that I'm actually going to be seeing this from the shed. So much as I've got my herb bed, I'm trying to do it that way, around that corner, I want to be able to look out on something nice in this corner. And you know what, we turn the soil and again it's just really rich, beautiful soil. So what I've done as well, the plants that I've started to bring up from the old plot, I've started putting them in. Now they may not stay in this position, but they need to have some sort of soil around their feet. They need to get their roots into something nice and proper, not just a bucket of water. So I have just sort of shoved them in. So in a way it's a bit of a nursery bed, but if I show you, I've got my St. John's wort there, fig there, pinks are under that because they were in the pot with the fig, but they'll come out at some point. The neighbour has given me some of her lucifer, as she calls it. I still call it crocosmia, but this is beautiful. It has tall spikes of red flowers. Shasta daisies there, some of my geum. What else have I got in? I've got my thyme. I've got loads more to go in, but at last I've actually got a spot to put them in. So for example, I'm going to switch you around again. All these things over here that are awaiting their new homes, while they're waiting, and actually they'll probably stay there, while they're waiting, they can all come and sit over here until they get their permanent position. And in the meantime, it gives me something nice to look at. What I have got though, I've dug out a little trench, and I am going to, probably not today, I'm going to put in some of this log border roll. We used some of this at home about 20 years ago, and it's still going strong. So I'd far rather have this than the plastic, although I'm sure the plastic roll has got its place. But I know that I'm going to be able to strim right up to the edge of that, and it's going to be fairly solid. So yeah, so imagine, you have got to use your imagination here. I live off mine. Imagine you then come in the gates, and instead of that being a dumping ground, you've actually, oh, there was a butterfly there. You've got beautiful flowers, bees, butterflies, as long as they're the right sort, all going on over there. And this will be a lovely grassy path that will be strimmed and lead you into the rest of the garden, which also needs tidying. Okay, back in the shed. And yeah, it's still raining, but nothing like it was yesterday. It's actually quite a nice light rain, and it's quite warm out there. So yeah, it's a sort of rain that you sort of think will encourage things to grow. And I'm grateful for every drop after the hot summer that we've had. I'm only saying that by tomorrow if it's still raining. But yeah, we have got to remember what it was like without the rain. One thing I have noticed since it's got a lot wetter in the last couple of weeks is the weeds are coming on in great force. Now, if we'd had to battle them, as I've said before, when we first took it on, as well as everything else, our lives would have been made so much more difficult. So in a way, the fact we've had this bit of a drought, I hate to say it, it's allowed us to get on with clearing. So that's good. A couple of things I wanted to ask you really. We're still, as I say, we're still moving up from the old plot, and as time goes by, when we first gave it up, I actually did have to make the phone call last week because the rent's due at the end of September, and we had a notice for the rent, and so I did actually have to say we were giving it up, and I felt quite emotional about it, but the lady on the other end of the phone was just like, okay, fine, hand your key in, which was a bit, but I thought, okay. But when we first talked about giving it up, I was making a list of all the things I wanted to bring up here. And basically, as time's gone on, those things seem less and less important. So one of the things, as an example, is we've got blackcurrant, gooseberries, red currants and raspberries to bring up. I don't know if I'm going to bother with the blackcurrants because they're only very small. I haven't got the hang of pruning them. I do want to grow them, but actually, if I had a choice, I would grow a variety called, I think it's called Big Ben. Is it Big Ben or Big Boy? I think Big Boy's a tomato. Big Ben, but they're quite big fruit. They're quite big currants. So I might treat myself and actually just go and get a new blackcurrant bush. I do want to bring the red currants because even though we've only had a few, they were just like jewels, absolutely beautiful. Similarly, the gooseberry bushes, I don't know if I can be bothered bringing them up. That sounds awful, but you can get them at a reasonable price. And also, but this is what I wanted to ask you about, the raspberries. Now, we actually got those raspberries at the old plot. We got them through one of these free cycle sites, what's called Freegal. And so we got them for nothing. They've reproduced like crazy, and they're now this huge thicket. They're very, very thorny, and this year they haven't been brilliant. Now, okay, it's probably because they need thinning out and a bit of TLC, and then next year they'll be back into their own. But again, it's made me think, while I've got the option, while we're starting, should I go and get my own. I've never known what the ones are that we've got at the other plot. I know they're autumn fruiting, so I've imagined that they're autumn bliss. But I've seen it, there's a new variety called Polka, and it's meant to be quite big, and I don't think it's as thorny, but quite big fruits. And I was just wondering, I think it's a spur or whatever from Autumn Bliss and another parent. But yeah, let me know if you've tried Polka, or what would you do? Would you just give the Autumn Bliss another chance? Just being dead lazy, to be honest, because again, there's so much to bring up. I'm sort of thinking, do we really need to take that one? Could we just get something fresh? And much as it could seem like a waste to leave it there, I do like to think, well, at least the next person who takes the plot on will have something. So, you know, it's not like it's all going to get burned or taken down, or I hope not. I hope they like fruit. So yeah, Polka, what do you think? Have you tried it before? And there was another thing as well. Oh yeah, the Big Ben blackcurrant. The Big Ben blackcurrant, that's a mouthful. Let me know if you've tried either of them. Yeah, as I say, we've been here an awful lot, but what we've been doing is moving stuff to and fro to the tip from the other plot, and yeah, it's all been a bit boring, but I have been updating fairly regularly up over on the Facebook page, so if you want to go and join the Facebook group, you'll get more regular updates, because I realise I do leave things for 2 or 3 weeks, and then when you plan to do something, the weather changes and you can't do it. So that's probably going to be more and more the case over the winter as the weather closes in and we have less daylight hours to actually come out and do something. So pop over to the Facebook page, say hello, nice little group of people there, very friendly. It'd be nice to see you. But what I was going to say, oh Jane, what were you on about? Yeah, leaving stuff for other people, just those grapes. I mean, today, as I say, the fact that those grapes, I don't know if they're a good harvest or a bad harvest, but they're a harvest, and they're something that we wouldn't have had because we hadn't planted the vine. So whoever has left that vine, and this is what's lovely about gardening, they've left us with such a bounty. And that's to make me feel better about leaving the raspberries, by the way. But, you know, I picked the grapes just then. Look at that, can you see that? How fantastic is that? I mean, you do, like I say, you need about £12 for a demijohn of wine, but they just look beautiful. And to be honest, they taste really nice. The ones that have been allowed to get bigger, they're sweeter. Obviously, the smaller ones are a bit more tart. So that sort of proves to me that next year we've got to start clipping out the small ones and being a bit finicky with it. But that's something I've got to learn. Again, gardening, it's all about learning. You're learning something new all the time. My voice has just gone funny. It's because I've just sat on my microphone again and I may have switched it off. 1 second, please. Oh, I'm still on. That's good. Okay, but yeah, part of being part of a gardening community, I know I bang on about this. I had a discussion with a neighbour earlier on saying, what are you filming for? Why do you need to tell other people what you're doing? And I was trying to explain to her that you are part of something. Yes, it's lovely to go and garden. It's very meditative, as I always say, and restorative to go and do it on your own. You can switch off and all that. But it's lovely to be part of something and to get feedback. And it's just wonderful. But it's very difficult to explain to someone else. But part of that, part of the sharing. Oh, my mind is all over the place. Just going back to the grapes very briefly. I reckon I've got about £5 there, need about £12. A friend said a couple of weeks ago that they were picking their grapes. They've just got white grapes, seedless, that they've grown on an outside wall. And I'm wondering if we can maybe get enough to add to that. I keep looking at the wrong place. Have you noticed? To add to that, to maybe make some wine. And then, of course, we'd give them a couple of bottles of the wine. And that's how it goes. Grapes, sharing, yes. But just the other thing, how generous people are. And I don't mean necessarily with things, but the fact that a neighbour will come over and just leave a couple of beetroots, whether you want it or not, on the step of your shed. Someone else will come over with some eggs or some tomatoes. It's just such a lovely thing to be part of. And not necessarily with things, I mean with shout outs. I know there's so many of you that I want to thank for the shout outs. You know who you are. But it's such a lovely thing to be part of that and to be part of that sharing. And something else, how good is this? I was contacted last year by a lovely, lovely lady called Pam, who asked if I'd like a few seeds. She could get me a few seeds, and I said yes, that would be wonderful. And a few weeks later, a box turned up full of seeds. Not just a small box or even a shoe box, a big box full of seeds. And I mean, I'm talking about all sorts of seeds, and it's just, I was completely blown away by it. And those seeds, I had to look through, see the ones I'd like to do, but they went near and far. They went to friends, they went to family, they went to fellow allotmenteers, they took some to a school. And so many people benefited from that random act of kindness, would you say? An act of kindness. Anyway, Pam has contacted me again this year, and she's not only sent one packet of seeds, she sent me 2. And I mean, this is when I said earlier on that I spent some happy time in the shed sorting yesterday. This is what I started sorting out. So Pam, you'll be very pleased to know I've now got them sorted into beans and peas, flowers, melons, I'm going to grow melons, herbs, brassicas, leaves, who knows what that was that fell on the floor. Let's have a look. Sweet pea, put that back in the flower section, which is blue, right? Okay. And these tomatoes, roots, brassicas, all these things. And obviously I can't use all these, but I'm going to be able to share them and again hand them out and say to people, take what you want, you know, either give back what you don't want or pass them on to someone else. It is such a wonderful thing. So Pam, I know I did say that I was going to unbox them on my video, but I was too excited when they came and I wanted to see what they were, and it did give me a really, really useful thing to do yesterday. So they've all been sorted, and now they can start going into my plan for next year, which, yes, is ongoing. We'll say it's ongoing. I must say it's wonderful. It's wonderful sharing a plot with someone, and you know, and Mike is fantastic. But we've got different ways of doing things, and a plan to me isn't necessarily the same as a plan to Mike. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to mention the carrots again. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so thank you so much, Pam. They will all go to really good homes. On the back of the garden, I've got all these things going on in my head. What I want to do, and I'm quite excited about this, as you can probably tell because I can't sit still, is sort of mid to end of October, I'm going to sort of do a little something that's going to help us contact each other, share things. I don't want to say too much. I'm so tempted to tell you all what it is, but I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, sort of enable a little bit more sharing, because I think that's something that as gardeners we do well. Okay, I've yet to come across a gardener who isn't happy to give you a cutting or some seeds or some advice, you know. So yeah, it's a wonderful place to be. I'm going to stop talking again now because I'm waffling. So yeah, giving you a little tour around. Got the elephant garlic in. I need to know about my polka or my Big Ben. Thank you to Pam. Thank you to everyone who's subscribed. Oh, we've got so many new subscribers. It's so lovely to see you all, and new and old. And thank you so much for your comments. I'd love to know what you think. Give me a little, you know, usually positive. Give me a little little comment. Say hello in the comments below. And yeah, pop over to the Facebook page and say hi as well. But for now, I am going to go. Okay, thank you. See you soon.